Hello and welcome to my living room. This is my NFL predictions week 2 video, but it has been a very busy week. I have not had time to film this one, and I am also currently watching I'll show you, I just dropped my GoPro. I'm currently watching Bama and Wisconsin, and I didn't really want to miss it, even though I knew I had to film this video, so yeah. I decided to record this one in my living room. My studio is just a little bit that way, but I'm currently in my living room right now watching Bama and Wisconsin, and we're going to do NFL predictions week 2. A couple things before we get started. Currently, my record right now, let me look at my record. This year I'm actually using Sleeper Poll to do my predictions. I didn't do something like that last year. Last year, what I did was just like write it down, and I didn't keep my record or anything. This year, I'm keeping my record. This year, I believe... How do I look? How do I look at my record? Oh, I'm 12-5. I'm 12-5. That is my record for the year. I did choose the Bills to win. It is Saturday, obviously, and I did choose the Bills to win, even though I didn't film this one before that. So that also counts as a win for me. But yes, that's right. Today we're predicting week 2. Tell me down below, what is your predictions for week 2 of the NFL? Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Subscribe to More ZMC. That's the channel that I'm recording on right now. And also go check out my main channel if you like movie content. That is my main channel, Zachary Movie Chat. Go check that one out. We're growing substantially over there. But also tell your friends about this channel if they like watching football content, more niche content from my main channel. And with that said, we are going to get started with the Las Vegas Raiders at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens had a loss against the Chiefs in week 1. If you know me, you know that I would have predicted the Ravens to win if you've seen that first video. And they didn't. They, in fact, lost by a toe, which makes me insanely happy. I am really happy that that is what happened because I am a Chiefs fan. But Ravens still look solid. Lamar Jackson's arm has not looked very good in that first game, but him on his feet was overly pretty great. He had over 100 yards rushing, and that's really what sustained him as still a solid quarterback. Las Vegas, it just seemed like the coaching was trying to screw them over, where like they had plenty of opportunities to go for it on 4th down, still try, and they decided to punt the ball away with like 2 minutes left to try to do a game-winning drive. It was terrible coaching. They played Los Angeles, the Chargers last week. Not a good game whatsoever, but the Chargers did get the victory there. But Las Vegas has not looked good in that first game. I don't think that they're going to be very good. I have the Ravens taking this one and becoming 1-1. Speaking of the Chargers, they are away against Carolina in our next game that we are going to talk about. Carolina, I said last week that I thought that they would lose, but then that they would come back and show that they're a solid team, get maybe 7 wins. Bryce Young looked even worse than last year in week 1. God, that was awful. It was an awful performance by Bryce Young. One of the worst games of football off of one team that I've ever seen. Chargers did not look too hot either until the last half of the game. It just felt like their offense wasn't moving, which happens when you get rid of all of your key offensive players, get rid of Eckler, get rid of Keenan Allen, added brand new quarterback. Oh, no, wait, not add a brand new quarterback, but add a brand new coach, and he kind of screwed over the offense. But they still did get the dub because Vegas sucks. And they are, I think, still going to get the dub here against Carolina. Carolina, I just cannot see them coming back after that week 1. Bryce Young, his first throw was an interception. It was horrible, a horrible game for them. And I think they're going to have the same equal season as last year, especially after that first performance. I was hoping that they would do something solid, something with their season. But overall, they just did not in that first game. And I do think that the Chargers are going to get the dub here. The Dallas Cowboys host the New Orleans Saints. The Saints took on the Carolina Panthers, and they looked very strong. But again, it's the Panthers. I want with all my heart to choose the Saints to win this game because I just like them. I like the first performance. I always root for Derek Carr. But I do still feel like the Dallas Cowboys are going to get the dub. They pretty much demolished the Browns, and we have all the Cowboys fans going, "Oh, we them boys, we them boys." They're not really them boys. They just beat up a bad team with Deshaun Watson, a terrible quarterback. And I want the Saints to win. I will be rooting for the Saints in this game. I just can't see Dallas losing this one, especially after a solid game one like that. Saints had a solid game one. I do think this one will be close, but I do think Dallas will pull away in the end. Then we got an NFC divisional round matchup with the Tampa Bay and the Detroit Lions, or a divisional round from last year's playoff rematch between those two teams. Last year, Detroit did pull away, get the dub, went on to the NFC Championship round, but I do actually have Tampa Bay coming back and getting a revenge game here because Tampa Bay just looked very good last week. Baker Mayfield looked on point. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, he was the main target catcher. Rachaad White looked solid enough. So that's a team that looked very strong. Detroit had its struggles. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the wide receiver 1, barely caught anything. David Montgomery in overtime rushed through the Los Angeles Rams. But like they just really struggled against that Rams team offensively. Had some great defensive plays, but offensively they kind of struggled in that week 1 game. Tampa Bay just comes off right off the gate, pounding it through, getting the dub, and I think that they're going to do the same here and start off 2-0. The Indianapolis Colts take on the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, unfortunately, Jordan Love got injured. He'll be out for a couple weeks. I don't know who's going to take them over as quarterback, but Indianapolis had a fantastic first week last week, even though it resulted in a loss against the Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson looked absolutely phenomenal, rushing-wise, throwing-wise, made a fantastic throw to the end zone to Alex Pierce for a touchdown. Great play there. And they just looked overly strong. And I think they would have got the dub if they weren't playing the Houston Texans, another very great team. And so Green Bay missing quarterback. They don't have their quarterback. They had a rough first game a couple times in that game. It's still a solid first game, still held their own against Philadelphia, but still rough. I think without Jordan Love, I think Indianapolis is taking the dub, especially because I feel like Indianapolis is a very, very good team. Cleveland is away against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, I thought they had Miami, and then Miami all of a sudden in the fourth quarter pulled out and was like, boom, baby, we're going to get the dub here. And Jacksonville, they kind of had a couple of goofs. Travis Etienne, he fumbled. There was a couple of misplays on offense that kind of screwed them over. But Cleveland looked awful in that first game. Awful. Deshaun Watson, terrible. He had a terrible game. One of the worst games as quarterback. And side note, he made a Twitter account, a fake Twitter account to defend himself under a fake name. And like fans instantly caught on to that. I heard about it. I went to his Twitter account. Hilarious. Hilarious stuff. Trying to defend his awful play. He shouldn't be defending it because it was terrible. He had a terrible first week. The Browns looked awful in that first game, and so I do think that Jacksonville, even though they looked strong in the first 3 quarters, kind of blew it away in the fourth quarter. I think that they are getting the dub here against Cleveland. San Francisco's away against Minnesota, and his stat is that Minnesota has won, I think, the last 3 games against San Francisco. I originally have it here that I'm going to have San Francisco win, but I think I'm going to switch it to Minnesota, honestly, and Wisconsin. Ooh. They just missed a field goal wide right. Anywho, San Francisco, they had a solid week 1 without Christian McCaffrey against the New York Jets, but that's the New York Jets. Their defense isn't that good. They're playing the Minnesota Vikings, who their team looked fantastic, but they did play the New York Giants, the worst team in the NFL. So you always got to say, oh yeah, okay, yeah, they played an awful team. That's why they did so good. And so it's very hard to judge a team off of week 1 when they played that team, especially when San Francisco looked solid in that first game. But I don't know. I think I'm going to switch it back to San Francisco where I had it originally. This is going to be a hard pick. I really want to choose an upset for Minnesota. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to choose an upset for Minnesota. I'm going to say Minnesota. This is my upset of the week. Minnesota will take and defeat San Francisco. It's going to be a close game. Sam Darnold, I think, is going to have a solid game like he did last week. They aren't playing the New York Giants. This is really going to tell how good of a team that they are going to be this year in this game. But screw it. I don't have an upset besides this one. This is going to be my upset of the week. Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. I did choose Cincinnati to beat them because I don't think Jacoby Brissett was going to be any good, and Jacoby Brissett still wasn't good. Nobody really on that in that game was really good. It was just terrible play by Cincinnati to have New England go 1-0. Seattle looked terrible to start off the season, but then in the second half they pulled away, had some great plays, and got the dub against the Denver Broncos. They played more as a competent team, whereas the New England Patriots were just like, yeah, Cincinnati, you suck to start of the season. We're going to take advantage of that. I think Seattle's going to get the dub here just because I feel like they're more of a solid team. They are more proven in that week one, where New England definitely had some goofs and only won because Cincinnati was trash in week one. So I do feel like Seattle's going to pull away and become 2-0. The New York Jets versus the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee, I thought they had Chicago. I thought they really had Chicago, and I thought they could start 1-0. And then they had, whatever his name, Will Levis, throw a pick, fall to his knees, a pick six, rather, and completely screw their team. The Jets, I actually was kind of impressed with their offensive play. The first game that Aaron Rodgers has played in a whole season, he played the full game, and he had some solid plays. They were playing the San Francisco 49ers, for goodness sake, a Super Bowl team that lost the Super Bowl last year. That's great. And they played that team, and everybody's like, New York Jets, they suck. I think that they're solid, and I still think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think they had a, for what it's worth, even though it's a loss, I think they had a solid week one. They look solid. Aaron Rodgers looked specifically solid coming off his first game back. Tennessee looked terrible, and they are going to absolutely crap the bed again. I have New York Jets winning this one. The New York Giants at the Washington Redskins, or Commanders, or whatever you want to call them. I don't care. Very impressed with Jayden Daniels last week. I was very impressed with Jayden Daniels, what he did. His 2 touchdowns on his feet. He had some great, solid throws, especially in that first half, or the second half, I mean. And even though he lost against Tampa Bay, which is a very great team, they did still have, I think, a solid game, especially for Jayden Daniels. They're playing the New York Giants, who is a terrible team. They had a terrible first week against Minnesota, and I think they're going to have a terrible second week against Washington. I predict that Washington's going to absolutely slaughter them. This is going to be a blowout. Jayden Daniels going to have a fantastic game. Daniel Jones going to be taken out in the second quarter to have Danny DeVito put back, not Danny DeVito, but Tommy DeVito put back in, because I think the Giants are going to be the worst team. I'd be surprised if they even won a game. Nevertheless, they're not going to win this one against the Commanders. Starting our 3:05 and 3:25 games, we have the Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona was a team that looked solid in that first half, but that's only because Josh Allen threw 2 passes in that first half, and then all of a sudden they kind of ruined it in the second half and did not throw to a wide-open Marvin Harrison Jr., but Buffalo did get the dub there. But that was Buffalo, a great team. The Rams, they lost against Detroit in overtime. I think they had a specific game, a good game. Puka Nacua, he got injured. He's going to be out for a while. That's going to hurt this squad. But then they're going to have Kyron Williams have to step up. Maybe even get Blake Corum some carries, their rookie running back. And Cooper Kupp looked very great. Cooper Kupp is definitely going to have to stand up, and he's going to have a fantastic game here against Arizona. I do think that the Los Angeles Rams are going to take the dub against the Arizona Cardinals. Even though they lost one of their core players, they still looked overly solid, and I do think they're going to pull away, get the dub. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos. Denver did lose the game. They had a chance. They had multiple chances. And I did predict that they were going to lose the game because it's Bo Nix's first game. He did not look as good as Jayden Daniels. Did not look as good as some of the other rookie quarterbacks. But he still had a couple solid plays. A nice rushing touchdown there in the end. And so I actually have them beating Pittsburgh, the team that did not score a single touchdown. And I think that's because the Falcons, like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense really hurt the Falcons, where there was turnovers constantly. I was watching Red Zone, watched 7 hours of commercial-free football, and on Red Zone, I saw every time that we cut to that game, the Falcons and the Steelers, it was just like a fumble or an interception. It's just not a good game whatsoever for the Falcons. And they're starting Justin Fields again, didn't have specifically the greatest game. I do think that this is where Bo Nix is going to prove himself and become the a good quarterback and get the dub here against Pittsburgh. My Chiefs host the Cincinnati Bengals. And Bengals had a terrible week 1, just like I thought they would. I did think that they were going to win, but I did not think they were going to lose. I did not think they were going to be that bad, but they were. We're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions, had a fantastic first week. So I'm going to predict Cincinnati wins. Just kidding. Obviously, Kansas City is going to absolutely demolish them. The Chiefs really utilized their team. Rashee Rice had a great game. Xavier Worthy, the rookie wide receiver, had a 2-touchdown game. Isaiah Pacheco, the running back, had a great game. Besides one awful throw, Mahomes looked on point. Our defense, overly solid, stopping Lamar Jackson's throwing. We didn't stop his rushing, but that doesn't matter. And so I don't think this is going to be a revenge game for Cincinnati. You can pull the, Joe Burrow's 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes. Ooh, ooh. Who cares? Who actually cares when your team cannot start off the season good, always have to pick back up, and always become a late wild card team? It doesn't matter. They haven't had a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has. The whole record against each other does not matter, Bengals fans. It does not matter. By the way, you're going to become 3-2 this next Sunday, tomorrow, because I think Kansas City is going to take the dub. Now, our last 2 games are primetime games. Sunday night, Chicago is at Houston. Chicago's offense looked terrible. Caleb Williams, I thought was going to be terrible once they picked him as the first overall pick. In the preseason, I was getting some doubts that my opinions would be turned true. I was like, oh, Caleb Williams might actually be good. And he looked terrible in the Tennessee game. The defense is really what won that game. Houston looked great. Obviously, Stephon Diggs got 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdown passes by C.J. Stroud. Nico Collins looked pretty good. Tank Dell didn't look as good as I would hope he would, specifically because I got him in several fantasy leagues. But this offense looked great, and I do think they're going to be able to conquer the Bears' defense, which is easily the best part of it. I think Caleb Williams might have a couple more big plays, maybe kind of mesh in a little bit better. I don't think he's going to be as bad as Bryce Young, but I don't necessarily think he's going to have a great game either, and I'm going to predict Houston taking the dub here. And our final game of the week, Atlanta at Philadelphia. Philadelphia started off the game awful with a fumble and an interception by Jalen Hurts. And then we have the Falcons, who had a terrible game as well. They lost the game after not allowing a single touchdown, but they also had so many turnovers. Kirk Cousins did not look good whatsoever in that game. The Philadelphia Eagles really kind of fixed it after that first quarter, had a fantastic game after that, got the dub against Green Bay. So I do think Philadelphia is going to win this game. I do think that they are a more solid team. I do think they're going to have a better season than last year. Kind of, specifically as Saquon Barkley's 21 points alone, his 3 touchdowns, crazy stuff. And the Falcons just did not look good. So I think Philadelphia is going to start off the season 2-0 and Atlanta 0-2. That was my Week 2 predictions. Let me know down below, what is your predictions for the NFL Week 2? Also, while you're down there, tell me, what is your favorite team? And while you're also down there, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Go check out my main channel, Zachary Movie Chat, if you're interested in movie content. And thank you guys for clicking on this video. Subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.